So, good morning. How many of you read Shanti Deva's book, Bodhisattva Way of Life? Only few people. You should read that book. Anyway, the reason I'm mentioning this book is, right in the beginning, the book says that with the composition of this book, I have nothing new to say which has not been said before. Now, even if there's nothing new to say that has not been said before, but if the writing style is very beautiful, poetic, then it will be enjoyable. My composition is also not that beautiful. So therefore I have no wish to benefit others. However, people who are of similar fortune or fate like me, maybe they get a little bit benefit. Shanti Deva, such a great teacher, great practitioner, out of humility he says that. Of course he has a lot to say. But in my case this is more than true, because I have nothing new to say, perhaps, maybe for some, maybe a little bit. So therefore, I really think I have nothing special or much to offer. But this kind of gathering is very important. It's very, very important. This is actually showing the force of good things. So my talking is really like preaching the converts. Many of you may be much, much better than me in many ways, in terms of gentleness, in terms of goodness, in terms of knowledge. Many of you, I'm sure, be much, much better than me. So it's really not so much about my sharing things. But I'm not saying that my presence here is totally useless, because what I'm teaching is not my thing. It is based on the teaching of the Buddha and great teachers. So their teaching is important. I'm like a messenger. That way it will be beneficial. But what is important is that first of all we should think about the reason why we have gathered here. You are not here, coming from different places. Some of you coming maybe quite far off places. Definitely not to waste your time. Much of the problem that we are facing today is our not being in touch with oneself. It is not so much about your not keeping in touch with others. For keeping in touch with others, there are many technological products. Internet is there, mobile phone is there, different types of technological gadgets are there to communicate with others, right? But how would you communicate to yourself? Send an email to yourself. You can do that, but that is a little bit ludicrous, right? And then also keeping in touch with the higher beings, like if there is a God, if you're a believer in God, or Buddha, or higher beings. Internet doesn't work there, right? Your gadgets doesn't work. And I've seen gadgets actually doesn't work when you really need them. Very interesting. When there's a flood, famine, lightning, then is the time you really need them. That doesn't work. Connection is not there. So why I'm saying this? I'm saying this because the best connection is connection of your mind to others and connecting your mind to yourself. At the very outset, this should become very clear that much of the problem that we are seeing in the world today is starvation of human mind. The more and more we are becoming extrovert, the more and more we are chasing the external products and getting distracted with technological and scientific products. And now artificial intelligence is also there, which will distract you even more. Right? So all kind of problems, including issues of health, diseases, depression, low self-esteem, all this is because you don't realize the potential of your mind. You are not in touch with yourself. So the first thing that you should really remember is how to take care of yourself by constantly in touch with yourself. How to love yourself, how to be compassionate to yourself. That is, I think, is the most important. I'm not just saying it. The Buddha said that self is the protector of the self. No one else can be the protector, in the true sense of the term. Similarly, self is the enemy of the self. No one else can be your enemy. And if you discipline your mind properly, that's the way to achieve higher states like enlightenment. And this is not an easy job, because when you talk about keeping in touch with yourself and discovering your inner resources, you are talking about invisible things. And we are completely lost with gross physical entities, something that we can relate to, touch and feel. We have become a slave to the dictates of the five senses. Right? The world, any part of the world you go, especially in the so-called developed countries, everybody says, I'm busy. It is not important you are busy. Is it important? It's not important you are busy. So are the bees. They're also busy, right? What is important is, what are you busy about? This is the issue. What are you busy about? We are primarily busy about acquiring things to gratify and to satisfy the dictates of your senses. Senses, I'm saying, the five senses. Something handsome, beautiful to look at, something delicious to taste, something soft to touch, something melodious to listen to, something fragrant to smell to. It is because of this passion towards the five sensual objects. Business people clearly know your weakness. That's how this big mall sprang up. So the more and more you follow the dictates of the senses, the more and more you will become slave to money, slave to external material things. I am not jealous of you enjoying sensual pleasures. What I am saying is, if you are somebody who is really looking for more stable, long-lasting happiness, then you are going in the wrong direction. That's what I am saying. I also want to enjoy a little bit here and there, That's not the issue. That's not the problem. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to be cynical. What I'm saying is, the regular question that I ask everybody, I'm going to ask this question again today. Do you all want happiness? Yes. Okay, the organizer should collect your signature. You all said you want happiness. For how many days you want happiness? Forever, right? The greedy Buddhist people might say, for many lives to come, yeah? That's what we try to do. So we want happiness, not only happiness, we want happiness as long as possible. This is not something you learned from your religion, from your particular philosophy, or from scientific discoveries. You are born like that. You are born like that. This is important to recognize. This is important to recognize, because your very wish to have happiness and very wish to have long-lasting happiness shows that you have the capacity to achieve that long-lasting happiness. That's why in Buddhism we say we all have the Buddha nature. Buddha nature basically means the mind's potential. The mind has the potential to achieve the highest happiness. Remove all obstructive factors, negative emotions and things like that. But unfortunately we don't pay attention to this potential, and we get distracted to, as I said, to the dictates of the senses. And because of this, we personally face problems. Community is facing problem. Society is facing problem. The whole world is facing problem today. Right? When you chase the sensual objects means material objects. Material objects by definition is a physical object. Anything that is physical has limitation. Right? So how can you make unlimited progress from limited resources? I mean, look at the world resources of water, of forest, of minerals. They have limitation. So every country is saying we have to increase the GDP every year. How is it possible? From limited resources, we are going only to kill the external environment, which we are seeing now, right now. Look, go to any big city. Any big city, I'm saying. It's basically many high-rise buildings, but people don't have clean air to breathe, clean water to drink. Still we play with the gadget and think we are intelligent human beings. You are not able to protect even the fundamental things that is needed for you, for your survival. Clean water, clean air. This is a result of our unchecked greed. Right? I mean, when I say unchecked greed, everybody, I want this. Okay, how much you want? Right? So therefore, it's not only talking about future lives and nirvana, enlightenment, just for this life, which is not a dream, which we have already obtained, which we are living right now. This life must be a happy life, peaceful life. And that happiness and peace, reliable peace and happiness, which you all said you want, will not be there just by pursuing the sensual pleasures. That's what I'm saying. I want to say this.